This game went back and forth so many times it was like a tennis match. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Connacht begin this game by applying pressure right from the start. They managed to pin Pau close into their own line, and even though they concede a penalty for playing the 9, they then win a penalty themselves after the line out, as Butler does really well to get over the ball. Connacht kick into the corner, set up the maul, and then they go through the middle of the Pau defence. Dave Heffernan dives over to score. It's converted by Carty for 7-0. Pau then go through a number of phases in the Connacht 22. They probe left, then right before coming back to the left. Connacht shoot up in the defence, and Zagur darts through a gap and over, converted by Simmons for 7-all. We then have no wrap in the tackle for Tokolahi, and it's a penalty to Connacht. They decide to go up to the line. They then move it and set up a ruck in field. They quickly go back out to the right then. Aki carrying well, and then a long pass out to the wing finds Keane Prendergast out there, and he's in plenty of space, and he's got the gas to finish in the corner. Conversion is missed as 12 points to 7. Pau then come forward. They're probing on the edges of the Connacht defence, and they think there's space on the wings. They go one side then the other, but then Dave Heffernan gets over the ball and wins a penalty. Pau though come back, work it into that Connacht 22 again. Prendergast gets pinged for no clear release. There's a penalty advantage, and Pau decide to try a chip over the top. The bounce had gone right for them. They had players coming through, but it just didn't bounce right, and Connacht get their hands on the ball. We come back for the penalty. Pau go quickly from that, but then Connacht managed to turn them over. TMO though indicates that there was a deliberate knock on from Connacht. It's just a penalty. Simmons slots the kick then. It was right in front, and it's 12 points to 10. As we approach the half then, Connacht, they've got a scrum in the middle of the field on the halfway line. They get pinged though for overleaning. It's the second time they've done it in the game, so it's upgraded to a penalty. Simmons nails the kick to put Pau ahead, 13 points to 12. Really stupid penalty for Connacht to give away there with just a couple of minutes to go to the half, but it gets worse for Connacht before the break. They get another scrum. They attack off the back of that, but the ball goes to the deck. It's hacked through, and then Carroll gets there first. He's chased down by Shane Jennings. Really good scramble defense by him, getting back and forces him sideways, but eventually Pau get over in the corner through Ziger. Simmons converts from out wide, and it's 20 points to 12 at half time. Pau then returned the favour to Connacht at the start of the second half. Per pass that goes to ground, Bolton hacks this one ahead, and he has the pace to get there, and then the strength to finish under a tackle. Converted for 20 points to 19, and a real lifeline for Connacht there. Pau though, they hit back straight away. Rondil with a bust in the middle to keep the ball alive, and then Fisi Ihoi goes over to score, converted for 27 points to 19. Simmons then just drops an absolute beaut of a drop goal from pretty much on the halfway line. It's a crazy kick, but it clears the bar with plenty to spare. And now it's 30 points to 19, and you're thinking it's a long way back for Connacht from here, but Connacht are not giving up yet. Caelan Blade, he gets over for a try. Carty converts that, 30 points to 26. This game was just absolutely crazy. Errors on both sides, but it's such compelling watching. Connacht then, they're on the front foot again, pounding away at that Pau line. They win a couple of penalty advantages. Pau get a warning from the referee. We then have a long delay. Timo wants to check something, but the TV director isn't giving him the footage that he wants. Eventually, he does get it, and we see that there's an upright tackle, clash of heads, and it's from Vata Bua, I think it was, on Jennings. There is mitigation though, because Carroll, he tackles Jennings first and basically shifts his position so that when Bantabua is coming back, running back to cover, then that's where the clash of heads happens. So it brings it down from potential red card to a yellow card, and that seemed like the right decision for me. So he's off in the bin. Once you restart, then Connacht, they resume that siege of the Pow line. They go through a number of phases on the line. Pow almost turned the ball over at one time, but then Connacht hold on to the ball, and then play is stopped. We have a TMO check. Referee says, it's no try on the field, but he wants to check it. And then we see on the check that Bunyaki actually gets over under the post and grounds the ball on the line. So it's a try. Hanrahan converts, 33 points to 30. Connacht now back in front, and we got about, I think, 10 minutes to play at this stage. Pow now, they take a turn spending multiple phases in the opposition 22, work the ball in field. The ball then pops out of the back of a ruck, and Prendergast gets there, dives on the ball before anyone else. Connacht then come in to make it a maul, and they turn the ball over. And Pow, again, they come forward, but they give away a penalty for going off their feet. Connacht, they've got 8 minutes left to see this out. They've been shipping a lot of pressure since Pow have gone behind. And you think like it's on now for Pow, because they win a penalty for Connacht going off their feet. They decide to go up the line. They secure the ball from the line out as well, but then they knock it on as it looked like they were going to build something, and time beginning to run out now. Maybe have 3 or 4 minutes to go. Connacht then put the seal on the win. They break on the right, and Prendergast is there in support. He takes a pass and goes over in the corner. Hanrahan converts from out wide to make it 40 points to 30 at the end. I was glad of the final whistle, honestly, because my heart couldn't take much more of that game. Such an exciting game, and I'm so glad that Connacht came through, because for so many times they disappoint their fans, by giving them hope and then just snatching away at the end. But this time they came through and they delivered, and on to the quarterfinals for them. We will try to have a look at some of the stats, but the stats today, whoever is doing the stats, I think they took the day off today, because I haven't seen any of I've covered the other 2 Champions Cup games that were on today, and the stats weren't right in either of them, but we'll see how we're going here. So let's start with this one. Okay, so starting with tries. So I don't think the number of tries is right either, but it's basically saying 3 tries. Let me check on the live commentary actually. No, it is right, yeah. So maybe the stats are correct. So 3 tries for Pow and 6 for Connacht. Connacht needed every single one of those as well. Then on attack, meters made 375 for Pow, 429 for Connacht. So Connacht just shading that. Clean breaks 5-8. Defenders beaten. Now Pow beating 27 defenders to Connacht's 18. But again, Connacht's defense, they had a decent scramble, I felt, and stopped those defenders beaten turning into breaks. Passes 167 to 127. Territory 60% to 40%. So Pow with a lot of time in that Connacht half, but fair play to Connacht in terms of their defense. They looked stretched at times. Pow were making half breaks, punching holes and stuff, but they still held firm for the most part. Tackles made then 115 to 149. Tackle percentage 86 to 85. Both kind of passable rates, I would say. Turnovers 1 then 5 for Pow, 7 for Connacht, and some of those were very important as well for Connacht in terms of just swinging that momentum back their way. Lineouts then 9-1 each, and both went at 90%. Scrums 8-6. 100% for Pow and 86 for Connacht. Connacht's big problem was that kind of early like overleaning that they did, that they could ping for twice, but otherwise, both teams I think went fairly well on their own scrum. Kicks from hand end 22 to 21, 810 meters to 790, so not much difference between those two. Retained by Pow and one for Connacht. It wasn't really that type of game where there was massive amounts of contests up in the air. Both teams really tried to run the ball when they could. On to then maul success, so 75% for Pow, 100% for Connacht. 6 maul meters gained by Pow from 8 mauls. Just 1 meter gain by Connacht from 1 maul, but that was a try for Heffernan, so pretty important one for them. But Pow did have a decent one in the middle of the pitch. When was it? So it was in the first half, right? Then penalties conceded, 6 each. Not a game with a ton of penalties. 1 yellow card though for Pow because of the high tackle and the clash of heads there, and again I think that was kind of fair enough. Now let's talk about both teams. So these are kind of two teams that are very similar in this competition in that they're not the most fancy teams from their domestic leagues, but both of them can give the opposition a real run for their money on their day, and we saw that today. Like both teams felt that they had what it took to win the game and to get into the quarterfinal. They met last year as well in this competition. I think Pow won that one, and I remember as well one of the Pow coaches got in trouble last year because he basically he grabbed the referee's hand, right, and squeezed it really hard after the game. And I don't know whether that was in top 14 or I think it was in this competition though. And then there was a bit of controversy about that. But this year, as far as I know, no problems there on that front. But listen, both teams produced a fantastic game. Pow, I thought, when they got themselves ahead going into half time, I thought Simmons was doing well in terms of just keeping the scoreboard ticking over. And it looked like, the drop goal was amazing. And it just felt like they needed another, score or two after that, and they would have been home and dry. But that was actually the last time they scored any points. And then Connacht's, scoring 21 unanswered points to come back really, says a lot for their character as well, because we've seen them in recent weeks. They lost at home against the Lions. They got absolutely trashed at home against the Lions, even though the Lions were down to 14 men. They then went away to Benetton and lost there in the final minute as well. So, it would have been a big blow to come up short again in this one, but the guys dug in. I thought Prendergast was brilliant. Carty at 10 as well. I know Carty is out of the picture for Ireland, basically because he got the blame, I think, for the loss against Japan in the World Cup in 2019, because, that was pretty much the end of his Ireland career. But I think he's a fantastic 10. And for my money, at least at the moment, on current form, he's probably second in the pecking order behind Crowley for 10s in Ireland. People might disagree with that, but you look at Ulster having trouble with their 10s, and then over in Leinster as well, you got the two Burns there. Ross has kind of been in and out of the team with injury, and he's kind of the fact that he wasn't included in the Ireland squad for the Six Nations due to injury, but since he came back, he's trying to kind of push things a little bit. And then Harry hasn't, for me, again, it doesn't have that that consistency and that ability to string a bunch of games together without getting injured himself either. So looking at that, the other ones that are performing at the moment, you got Carberry and at Munster, who's been decent. He's leaving at the end of the season. So for me, I think Carty is the second best behind Crowley. Crowley, I think, is a bit ahead now of all the rest in terms of being number one. But Carty would be my number two, and then for me, then the others, whether it's Burns up at Ulster, or whether it's the two Burns down in Leinster, they've got to kind of sort it out themselves to who's going to get picked next. But I know the way it is, Carty's not going to see another Ireland cap, as far as I can tell, at least. Like he's out of the reckoning for good, I think. But great display from him. I thought Caelan Blade as well was good at 9. Bunya Key was fantastic in the midfield as well. And then the two wingers too, Jennings and Bolton. Like Bolton, I think, had to go off after he scored his try. I think he injured himself while he was scoring that. But both of them really good defence and attack as well, covering back, covering lots of ground too. And then Butler was good in there. Like there was tons of really good performances from them. And now what they've got to do though is something that Connacht don't do very often, is back up a good display with another good one in the quarterfinals.